All right. Now, in the previous video, I showed you all the steps you need to learn machine learning. Now, there are several videos that talk about how to learn Python. Those are out there. I'm going to skip to the third step of what you need to do. And today, I'm going to show you a practical guide on how to create your own housing price prediction. Now, the first thing that you're going to do is to need some sort of IDE and a data set. When it comes to the data set, what we need is log on to Kaggle, just create a free account, and then search for housing price prediction. I'll add the link to this data set in the description below, and you'll be able to land on the actual data set that we're going to work on today. And when you're done downloading that, the next thing you're going to do is to install Anaconda and Visual Studio Code. Those are pretty much the tools that we're going to use. Installing Anaconda is pretty much straightforward. And I'll add links in the description below for you to guide you on how to do that. Now, Anaconda is going to be running in behind scenes, and the IDE or code editor that we will use is Visual Studio Code. Now, the first thing you're going to do, just after downloading your data set, go ahead and save it anywhere. You can create data science folder. Doesn't matter how you like it. You can save it on your desktop. Just make sure that you create some sort of folder. The next thing we're going to do is to create a Jupyter notebook file. Okay. And I'll call mine housing price model. Okay. Then you can save it by adding an extension of PyPy, which is the extension for Jupyter notebooks. Oh, okay. Hold on. It should be edit that. I forgot an I over there. It should be this. Oh. It's by NB. All right. Yeah. With that out of the way, the first thing that we're gonna do, remember your Jupyter notebook should be in the same directory with the data set that we downloaded. Another simpler way of creating this is straightforward through Jupyter, through Anaconda, which is, just creates this file for you straightforward. Now, the first thing we do is to import libraries. Okay. So first of all, let me create housing price model. Okay, predictor. So I can basically just get this housing price prediction model. Okay, so that's and we can convert this into Markdown. Okay, I'm gonna be change cell to Markdown. And now the next thing we shall do is to import our libraries. Okay, so import the necessary libraries. I'll pretty much just import libraries. Okay, I'm gonna make this like some sort of header 3. Okay, and you can run it whichever way you want, but I believe if you run, I think Control Enter, that is on Mac, it should be able to execute that. Now that was Markdown. Now the first thing that we're gonna do is to import libraries, and the libraries that we're gonna need is we need pandas. Okay, import pandas as PD, PD. Sorry. And the next thing we are gonna need is import matplotlib.pyplot. This is gonna help us to create those nice plots. And the next thing that we shall import is Seaborn, because that's gonna create better graphs. So matplotlib is to help us in plotting, and Seaborn is to create, those advanced plots. Now, you notice that it's not understanding yet what the Jupyter Notebook is not understanding what it's going to use to run behind scenes, and this is why I told you we are going to need Anaconda. If you're using Anaconda, it should be straightforward, but now I'm going to choose my own environment. Hold on to that. Hold on, guys. Okay, sorry about that. So we're gonna choose our environment, and I have already Anaconda installed, so I'll use that. So now it recognizes everything. I'll go ahead and execute those. Now those are in memory right now. You can see it running over there, so it's importing all those libraries and packages that we need from Anaconda. And while it's doing that, now we are gonna create our we're gonna read from we're gonna make sure that we import this. So what I'll do, I'll copy that, and then what we will do is to now import. This is taking longer, but for the first time, that happens. So I'll import, I'll basically read data from the CSV file, okay, from the dataset. All right, then execute that. This is read data. So now, and how we do that is we're going to take advantage of a data frame. That's a short for data frame. And then we'll use pandas to read that CSV, okay? Read underscore CSV, and then the name of the CSV file that we are interested in, okay? And with that, we should be able to read the read data from the CSV file. So now this has executed. It took longer than expected, but then when you refresh that, it should be faster. So now we can read all data from the dataset. Okay, so now if I try to open this up, it's pretty much the same, but this is a lot of chaos. Now you can notice that this is much cleaner. You'll see something that is used. You notice that this is broken down. Okay, these are over 545 rows that we're looking at and 13 columns. Now, normally you're not gonna see all these in one go. I mean, you don't really have to, but what you normally do is try to read the first 5. Okay, and that's how you can execute them. So now we can see the first 5 rows. We can see that price, area, bedrooms, bathroom, the stories, number of stories, is it on a main road, guest room, basement, hot watering, and all those other features. Okay, so if you want to read the last, you can do tail. That will show you the last 5. Okay, it's going to execute the whatever is at the end is what will be executed. Okay, so now that we've read the data from our data set, the next thing we're going to do is to inspect this data. Okay, we need to inspect this data so that we do not get any null values. All right, so now what we can do here is inspect. So most people call it so this step was data collection. Okay, so that was data collection. What we can do, if you want to see how many rows and columns that you are dealing with, you can use I want to make sure that, so this is you can use something called describe. Okay, so I want to make sure I change this to code. So you can do data frame dot describe. Okay, describe, and then this, let me comment that out, check number of, or we'll just use check number of columns and rows. Okay, so when you execute that, this should be a chord. Change cell to chord, that way it's a column. No, sorry, my bad. So if you want to see, you need to use shape. I went ahead of myself. So shape, data frame dot shape should show you the number of column rows and columns. Okay, so and then if we want to see, so all this is obviously we are trying to explore the data. So let me see, this is data exploration. Okay, so we're trying to find out how the data is like. The data is like what's inside the data. We can do things like df dot types. You execute that. Oh, is this markdown? Okay, that's a markdown. You can just change it to cell and then execute that. So that's D type. Okay, so now from here we can see each column. Let me comment that out. This is check for each column's data type. Why do we do this? We do this because we're trying to investigate how many categories we have and what is, normally you have columns that are categorical and we have columns that contain continuous data. So why is that important? That's important because there are some, in the future, there are some categories that we need to work with that are not going to be interested with working with categorical data. When I say categorical data, it's like, oh, the house is a townhouse, the house is a single family house. So all those things, the reason as why we need to find them, we need to find those out, is that at some point we may need to encode that data and maybe work with it. If we need to use those columns, we can work with that and then change them to some sort of values that can be used to represent continuous data. I mean categorical data in form of continuous data. And how do we know that? If you see anything with object, that's categorical. Okay, the rest are integers. If we have decimal points, it's going to show floats. I'm trying to think of anything else. So the next thing that we're going to do that we've noticed, okay, we have, this number of columns and whatnot. The next thing we are going to work with is that we need to check for any missing values. Okay. So this whole process is really important because it helps you prepare more as you advance from here. So we I'm not sure if I made a, so we are gonna create I'm sorry, so this is I hope this is not markdown. So we are gonna check for any null values in the columns. So check for null values. And then to do that, you just need to do data frame dot is null, okay? And then if you want to just count, because this is gonna show you whatever is missing in the in each column. But what we can do is that we can just sum, okay? So that this is gonna tell us for each column what is the total sum of null values, okay? Because we don't need to see them, like we don't need to see any specific values in there. We're not interested. We just need to know, are there null values or not? That's it, so that we can deal with them. Okay, so yes, and this data happens to be super clean. There's no null value, there's nothing, and that's good. Whenever you get data like that, that's good. But I'll show you at at some point how to deal with null values. So now that this data is good, we don't need to do data cleaning, because data cleaning would be the next step. So data pre-processing and cleaning would be the next step. Okay. But since this data is clean, we are saved from wasting time on that. But let me show you what you would do if you got into such a situation. So let's imagine that, let's say, number of bedrooms. When somebody was entering data, for some reason, a value was not entered, so it's going to show null. So let's assume that bedrooms had a missing value. Okay. So most people advise you to, drop that column, but sometimes it's not really advisable to do that, because there could be a reason. There could be a reason why that house has missing bedrooms. It could be for several reasons. Now what you need to do is that you have two options. You can replace the missing value with either a mean or a median. Remember, that works for continuous data. So let's imagine you have categorical data, and let's say, a basement. Does the house have a basement? And maybe it's probably yes or no, okay? And then somewhere there is a typo, okay? Or maybe something is missing in that specific cell. What you need to do this time around is to replace with the mode, okay? The mode. So for categorical data, you replace with the mode. For continuous data, you replace with the median and or mean, okay? So now you can ask yourself, when should we use either median or mean? So now you need to pay attention to this. When data is skewed for some reason, okay, it's safer to use median, okay? If data is normal, let's say the column has data. So let's say column for prices, and one of the prices is missing. So if that data has less skewed values, then you can use the mean. But if it has a skewed value, let's say one of the houses is 1 million and the rest of the houses are, regular prices like $500,000, $400,000, stuff like that, then you can use a median, okay? So now what we would do, it's already showing us, I'll just auto-complete this, okay? What we would do, we would get the data frame, okay, of that column, and then we would use the fill null values, okay? So let me break this down for you. So this is the formula you use to fill in any missing values in a particular column, okay? It will look through all these columns, okay, and check for any null values, okay? Now, whatever goes in here is what needs to be replaced, okay? And how you do that is to use data frame. This is how you get all values in a column, okay? You say bedrooms, okay? Now you have access to the whole column, and then dot median, okay? That's the formula to get the median of all values in that column. And then the last attribute would be in place is equal to true. That's it. Okay? That's it. And then when you check again, there will be no values. Now for this time around, we're not going to use all this because we do not have any missing values. Okay? Now going to the next step would be to now we've done the cleaning, everything looks good. Now the next step is to visualize this data, to create some sort of visualization, okay? And what we can do is to create a markdown here. So that would be data visualization, okay? And now here is where we're going to create some sort of graphs to figure out what's going on. Now there's no specific order, but you can just look through these columns and then try to figure out, like, compare, your specific features. So let's see, we want to compare, let's say, the number of bedrooms and prices. We want to see what's the relationship between the two. So now in this case, we can, let's say, compare number of bedrooms versus price. Okay, so now this is how we can approach it. We can create some sort of a plot, okay, and we give it a size, all right, and then the size would be fig size is equal to, okay, so this is auto completing it. So, but fig size is equal to 10 by 6. Okay, so 10 by 6. And then we use, let's say a scatter plot, or we can use a box plot. A histogram. You can use several okay, approaches. So let's try with a scatter plot and see how things like, and then we can give it a title. We can give it the X label, that's the X axis, and the Y axis. So since price is the target, we can use the we can put it on the Y axis. Now when you execute this, that's what we get. Now that is not looking good, okay, because the graph that we are picking is not the best to do that, okay. So now how about if we try with a bar plot, okay. So we can use, okay, Seaborn has that method, okay, and then execute. So now that's what we have. If we are noticing this, then it tells us something, okay. It tells us something that you could see that as bedrooms get closer to six bedrooms, and the price is kind of lowering down. So it looks like the most particular number of bedrooms that people are buying houses could be around the 600 700 I mean the 600 to 500 price tag. Now we've done visualization. You can play around with these. Go ahead and pick, let's see, number of bedrooms. Let's see with the area. So we could repeat this and then do something like number bedrooms. This could be area and then the price, and then the data is being fetched from data is from the data frame that we created, and then I'm trying to see something here. So this is number, this is area, okay, area, and then we can label the x-axis as that. So when you look at the area and the price, you notice that there are these skewed or independent this is like more than 16,000 area square foot, where, and those are kind of scattered away and skewed away from the rest of the other houses. It looks like most of the houses are around the 2,000 to 4,000 square foot, and that's why we're seeing these prices being variable. So now you can create a lot of features and check them out. Let me show you something that is not more of let's compare something like hold on, screen pair something categorical, and I show you how this even looks much better. So let's say for a bar graph, okay, we can create something like, let's look for something categorical over here. Main road, guest room, it's a basement, heating. Let's use furnishing status, okay, and we're trying to see the price and the furnishing status. So furnishing, okay, so we want to see if a house has finished furnishings. What's the price? We're curious to know how, and then we're going to use a bar plot, okay, because that makes more sense. So here's a clear understanding of what is going on. So when you see that the house is more furnished, it's going to sell quicker and it's going to sell highly, okay. If it's unfinished, you're obviously getting a lower price, okay. So with this, you see that you can get a visualization of what's going on with this data, and it can make more sense when working with figuring out if a house is good or not, okay. These few features that I picked out stand out and can give us a sense of what's going on in the housing market. Okay, so we picked out a few things. We picked out bedrooms, we picked out furnishings, and with those two it was easy to get an idea of what's going on. We picked out the area, how large is the house, the house is lot. We were able to figure out what's going on. So that's a good thing. That gives us a good picture. Now the next thing is to figure out a learning model that we're going to use. We've had an analytical view of what's going on with our data, and from that we can move on to the next machine learning next step of choosing the correct machine learning model to make our predictions. I won't make this longer than this. If you feel like this was really nice to learn about and you picked out a few things here and there, just go ahead and subscribe, comment down below, and leave a comment as well, okay? Because that helps the channel to create this content. And I'll see you in the next video. All right, bye bye, ciao.